You're well. Welcome, everyone. Tashidele. Makes me very happy to meet everyone. So I think today we'll have a discussion about how to not get discouraged, but how to generate bodhicitta, this altruistic mind. So I think this is a topic of great kindness. So this topic that we're here to discuss is belongs to the Mahayana teachings. It's a very precious and important topic, the topic of bodhicitta, real altruism in the heart. And given that it is this precious teaching, let us engage in our discussion with in an open-minded way, with lightness in our mind, a light-hearted, open-minded way, without any struggles or problems in our mind, and may we engage in our discussion in that spirit. So in the past few years, we've all had to deal with this pandemic. Can everybody hear us in the back? Can you maybe, can people hear in the back, both of us? No? Not so well. Oh, okay. Is that better? Hello? Can you hear in the back? Yeah? Okay. So in the past few years, we've all had to deal with this pandemic, this very difficult situation. So many people have been sick, and many people have passed away. And so this has been a very difficult time for all of us.
다 다른 가서 거니 아니 연대서 원하지 심전 탐지 대화다 대위 죄다 템버 주지 동행다 동행이 죄다 제가 주지라는 준대는 진짜 성능 도와서.
And just now, as we said our opening prayers, we all said, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And so we already sort of, referenced the cause and effect, the causality involved in happiness and suffering.
맞아, 심지어 다지 동행이 죄용들 지 매주 지하서라당 매자야 라서거당 아니 지 초진반 도자 라서거지 딘들이 심데 같이 라야당 집어서야당 아니 지 심장보 자치보 라야디 깔려보도 디자야 말아.
So sometimes we think of reducing suffering, minimizing the causes of suffering. And there's various methods, such as maybe a medical procedure, or taking some medicine, or, going to another place that's safer. And of course, that's beneficial. However, that doesn't help the mind itself to open the wisdom from within and to develop real peace, inner peace and happiness in the mind. That can't do that.
아, 남준도 가서 이제 탑시다 지기래. 다지 심 부수도도 매 담한다 자야서라들이다. 아니 양 초진반도 자야서라들이. 양 통한 담한다 저라들이. 다 직장마다 탑시 테스트 지기래.
심 부수도.
심 부수도 볼래니까.
So when our mind, becomes like tight, anxious, claustrophobic, then we often use many sort of ordinary methods or strategies to deal with that. Maybe we take some medicine or some substances. Maybe we drink various things. Maybe we, try to travel, go somewhere else. We try all of that when our mind gets tight, claustrophobic, and anxious.
대만세 아니 마음 자와이나 타지가 동에 짱 내가쇼 대화랑 하나쇼 전에 양지 탑 마보다지 마음 제야지 차지 마보지 준비도.
Not only that, sometimes we pray. We make aspirations or we pray. May my suffering go down. May happiness come in my mind. And we make aspirations and prayers like that.
아니 되나지 나심데 아니지 심바장부 이거쇼란 배피하다 초바피하다 양나 차차하다 양 아니나 공자고만 되네 양카라 칸마테 대바 선마다 마바 선마다 다다 선마다 심디 아니지 남도 때서 까와 점 양은 울라다 우마 땅 야땅 된데스는 상당 양심 장본나 탑 탑장은 가서 지려와.
Or we use all kinds of different strategies and different methods. For example, we might in order that my mind become good, that I have a good, happy mind, maybe we offer incense, or maybe we go and make offerings, or maybe we do some prostrations even with that wish in mind. Or maybe we engage in meditation. Maybe we sit peacefully and we don't think of the past, and we're not thinking of the future. We're also even not thinking of the present. We're just sitting there like that, just staying there. Or maybe we follow the breath, follow the flow of the breath in and out. All of this to try to find a good mind, a happy mind. So we use so many strategies.
양은 통보 칼란조야 아니 지오다야 양은 마 자수는 거야 지만은 예대야 니마다 that's not so simple children that's all.
Or, sometimes we go to the mountains, go up, hike up a big mountain in order to find happiness, to find happiness in the mind. Or maybe we go out on the ocean. All kinds of different things. So many things we do to try to find some happiness.
야, 타마통대야, 장라통대야, 심집어줘야지. 탑, 그래서 정말 심집어줘야지. 소소소소소 탑 잡을 때 되기도.
Or maybe we smoke a little something. Or maybe we drink a little something. So many things we try to do to get some happiness, some joy in the mind.
아, 네 장면은 네 값도 들어가나? 핀도 나오지요, 그래서. This.
So, to be very sort of straightforward about it, all these strategies that we use, there's maybe a little bit of benefit, a little bit, maybe.
그러지나 청가다 타마트즈기 거지 락바트즈 때에서 봤어도 인정? 아니 디강인디 때에서 지 매와 저수 지야기 삼는다 지여리나 시도로 그 매와 차고요 말.
So for example, from what we might smoke or what we might drink, there's this effect in the coarse channels or nerves in the body that sort of, temporarily kind of clears them a little bit. So there's some feeling we get from that. It doesn't actually deal with a problem. It doesn't remove something. It just temporarily clears something, produces an effect.
대나지 검제들데 다체 야만나 딘데 야만나 딘데 다체네 짝미 트라고랬어.
Or maybe we meditate with our hands facing up, or maybe we meditate with our hands facing down, or maybe we meditate like this and we close our eyes and sit there with closed eyes.
아니 룽야 우야 우롱 저라 들이다 우카레 찌르제야 저라 롱 저라 우야 마 셈라데 카저로다 룽라다야 아니 셈라다야 아니지 덴데게 탑 나서도와 티캅도 남도 까기도 남도 이젠다 마가시 내가 찍을 그러
Or maybe we meditate on the breath. We follow the breath as it's going out. We follow the breath as it's coming in. Or maybe we watch thoughts. Anyways, all these different methods and strategies we use, they kind of temporarily stop or block something like thoughts. And then it's like we're not thinking of other things because we've given our mind one job to do, and it's just doing that.
tinzanda 저데 나랑이 초와 제당지 라기 있다 미진다 짜치 못잔자 레스 나이 야가 잔자 인자냐 데스 푹툭도 냥가요로 나 나랑이 남도 로단 디칸데 데스 지저자기.
So I'm really just sharing my experience sort of freely, my thoughts, what the way that my mind works, that's all. Anyone else, whatever they do, I think that's very precious and important. I'm not trying to set up like, I know better or anything like that. That's not where I'm coming from.
Relax.
So, this meditation that we like to do where we just relax and just rest and just relax and just stay relaxed and just stay like that. That's quite good, isn't it?
아니 낭미 부부지 강이야 매바체 아니 심장이 강해 자장이 강해야 매바치 내가 이 강해야 매바치 아셈데 바르르 라우스도스.
So when we practice like that, it's like whatever, struggles and challenges we're dealing with, maybe with our children, those are temporarily okay. It's like they're not happening at that moment. And whatever's going on with our family, our partners is temporarily out of the mind. Whatever struggles, whatever's going on at work for us, that's also temporarily not there. So then we just stay and relax. It's quite relaxing, isn't it?
디빼면서 야고도아
So nice, isn't it?
이나영
However,
맞소 남 주도 욕라지 욕라로는 욕라지 되는데 딜르 제니 셈들이 믿어와 딜르 단다 캅도 여와이 릴렉스 릴레디 맞소 남 주도 욕라 존이 디레 믿어와 강이 존이 동이 존이 가인스는 가서 한다 동이 매워 줘그러.
However, that mind that's relaxing and staying in that relaxed state, that also causes a problem for us, doesn't it? Because it doesn't remove the cause of suffering.
nga 참대이 아니 검자위 집어중 빼면서 야고 중송 송도.
And then we think, oh, my meditation is so nice. I've had such a nice retreat. I've had such a nice meditation. So yeah, it's good, but in my opinion, it's not the best. Because as soon as we get up from there and go back home, get up from out of that state, all the thoughts come right back. Attachment and aversion and confusion, all of those problems are just right there waiting for us. So apart from just that period of time when we were practicing, getting a bit of a rest, letting the mind rest for a little while we were doing that meditation, apart from that benefit, this doesn't really qualify as like the path to awakening, what the path of awakening is really about.
서로와 대화돼야지. 로데 야제당 서로와 동에 예니 지로데 아니 칼레 매바지 탑저나 가와로나 나나데나 칠란로나 아니 따디 빼자친 거지 인서로.
However, so if we develop, what actually the mind wants happiness. So if we develop what actually brings happiness and improves and increases our happiness, and what removes suffering, the causes of suffering over time, then wherever we go, whether we're at home, whether we're out and about, there's real benefit.
제장 초바 대화당 동네 라야디 말랑 자와 짬제 아니 동네 만들어디 매와 작으면도.
So these feelings and experiences we have of suffering and of happiness, just by praying or wishing that we get one or don't get the other, that's not enough. So what we call suffering, who makes that? What makes that? We think about it well. So in our everyday life, In our daily life, basically, we all want happiness. We want to be happy, and we don't want to suffer. And whatever we do happens within that.
Chị tôi hư gore laga chia la tunjen gore teni lungda shoda sama nyogodu laga chi goya dia pe tunjen luji chorwege nisu 아버지 ngani tunjen 아버지 루고로 de 야고로.
So whatever we do for our food, our clothing, our livelihood, the comforts and enjoyments that we have, it's all for that, right? It's all to get feelings of joy and happiness and pleasure. And we do it for that reason. And we try to create good conditions, conducive conditions to make all that happen. And that's good, of course.
Ena di tunjen yewa tizoge ngazola pete tachi dewa chama yonzu zogwa deba yewa zik je tugundo.
However, those good conditions that we create, they cannot give us like final happiness, ultimate happiness, the real happiness that we actually seek.
다 셈소리지. 아니 대두기 니주가라 딱지 해야 돼. 패키지 모임 받아.
So I think it's very important for us to explore and examine the mental side, the mental feelings of happiness and suffering.
섬노 야고즈 또나 아니 대두 전년대야 셈 냥년대야 셈 양셈이 강된데 많이 봐. 될라 쮸젠 마보지더라린디도.
And so, I think it's important to look into this. It's really the mind that produces happiness. It's the mind that produces suffering. The mind is the one that suffers. And so understanding the causes and conditions for how the mind works, I think, is so important. So if we really think and examine the way we think, because if we don't explore, if we sentient beings suffer because we don't explore and examine how our experience works. And so we're not knowing how things work is being confused. It's a form of confusion. And so, we're confused and we cling. We have grasping. And through our grasping, we get stuck. We get bound up. And so we need to understand that. So, as an example, we've all heard that everything is impermanent, everything is changing and transient. We know that, we've heard that. Within this constant change, though, the mind that that clings to a sense of self, that clings to a sense of identity. The toxin. Sorry. The mind that clings to permanence and lastingness, it arises. Even though things are changing, we somehow know that the mind that clings to things being unchanging and stable and lasting arises. It gives rise to attachment, it gives rise to aversion and confusion and causes us a lot of problems.
아니 고대라 착신제 되기도 와. 아니 강의 용기도 와.
And so, we cling and grasp to our wealth, what we own, our possessions and our wealth, and we think about the future and worry about the future. We also cling to our body and get attached to the body. And the fact that the body is changing every single moment, momentarily changing, and that's its nature, we don't know. We forget that. We don't understand that. And the fact that to things that these conditions that we're dealing with, which come from so many lifetimes and so many years, and the kinds of and getting attached to that causes a lot of problems.
아니 짱마 이동원 진이 랑 미장어라지 하마고 예 미장어라지 하마고 이 마치 짱지 이동원 데라 착 데라 예네 아니 녀크라레기도
In addition to that, things that are not pure and not clean, we cling to as being pure and clean. For example, our own body. Things that are impure and unclean within us, like in our body, we cling to as being pure and clean. And in others, the same. Things that are impure and unclean in others, we cling to as being pure and clean and delightful and pleasing, things that we want. And not just that, not just perceiving them as clean and pure, we get attached to them and cause so many problems because of that.
Zugo digala ji chajin lo jiaji yakuzi zeno la doe munin doe la na sha cha rupa papa didi chik chang la gagi yebes la na pese gagi me la ro.
So these bodies that we're so attached to, so interested in, that are so delightful to us, if we actually look what the body is made of, the flesh, the bones, the skin, and we looked at any one of those on its own, we wouldn't like it at all.
Ani lakwadula di rocha ikabla gaya da pasha shenanje chamai chokmata nima sunnala jima jiwa jene lamsa patakora di jigoro di hagoro ngasa chudan deda.
And then what we call a dead body or a corpse. Set aside anyone being attached to a corpse. A corpse is a terrifying thing for us. We're revolted by it. We're terrified by it. And after 3 days, a corpse is something you need to get rid of. So this is really how things are, and we need to look at the reality of things.
제장 소소기 착바 나진기 아니 미장원데라 뭐이 니출라랑기 로이지 낭단다 뭐이 니출 코니데 게마 숙청부 시우지 차와 인잔데 뭐시에도 기준으로도.
Therefore, what things aren't really the way we cling to them, the way they actually are, and the way we cling to them are very much at odds. So this way that we cling to things as being clean and pure and delightful is not actually how they are. And so the way we cling, our perception and clinging, and the way things actually are really at odds. There's a huge contradiction there, and we have to recognize that contradiction.
아니 지 그때서 띵조 기니스 안에 누구디 배주 당야지.
Comment c'est pas
배주 당야. 맞아. 롱주체. 펜도체.
Zupoti. Chokchikni.
배주체.
So, however, from another angle, this body we have, we can do things with it. We can use it. We can engage in activities with it.
타르바 다 탐지 진바 공방을 줘야라 그러다 보지 누구디 거기도 와 내가 이제 또 땀숨 째야지 누구디 거기도 와.
For example, if we want to have a spiritual path, if we want to move to liberation and enlightenment, we need a body as a support. We need a body to take us there. And temporarily, just to survive, to eat, we need clothes, we need to eat, we need to survive also. The body is also for that. We need the body for that.
대송자 수수수부대 짱만 야야다. 유정보 줘야라 최대 지야다. 또그 지야데 꼭 기침머리도 와.
So therefore also, you know, to keep the body clean, to have a, you know, a strong body, to take care of our health, you know, to eat proper food, to wear clothes that are appropriate. That's also important. That's also important.
수수이 심라 차제진의 짜치신이 진바진의 약슈디 멤버지 다 죄송아.
But we've also concluded that the mind, you know, taking those things to be so precious, so important, the most important thing, we've also decided it's not like that. And then comes another thing, which is we take what is of the nature of suffering or pain to be happiness or pleasure. So normally, you know, when we talk about things that make us suffer, there's these three different types of suffering. What's called the suffering of suffering, what's called the suffering of change, when things change, and what's called this all-pervasive suffering of anything that's compounded. Sumbadi. So amongst those, the most important thing for us to understand is the third one. It's that anything that is made, anything that is compounded, conditioned, or made has a nature of suffering. And you know, the joys of existence, the excellence of everything that exists and appears is also a reality. Everything that, you know, can come together, everything that can be made, anything that comes together will scatter. That is a fact. So this topic, you know, taking what is fundamentally the nature of suffering, taking it as happiness or blissful or pleasurable, you know, I mean, because we think about the world, this world we live in, there's so many things we can have. There's so many things we can get. You know, we can get fame, we can get food, we can get clothes. In terms of our private family life, we can get houses, we can get cars, we can get delicious things to eat, many things to drink. There's so much in the world to have, isn't it? All these things that we can see, things we can hear, things we can taste, things we can smell, textures that we can feel. It gives us some pleasure, doesn't it?
Nika 직 대화지 용가디 잉앙네 아니 징와디 한 레비 심나래 약슈 디 다디 메네메터 직 탑메바지 약슈 다 시비 분조디 딜리 라서 요 말에 제는 가서 일레가 지야다 아니 빼자 치슈 진데지 차더라.
So those things do give us pleasure, but and joy. But within that pleasure and joy, this element of clinging, of grasping, oh, this is so good. This is the best. This is the best thing. I need this. I always need this. And nothing is beyond this sort of level of the joys of existence or samsara. There's nothing more than that. And then working so hard, clinging so much onto those things. That's another thing.
대화다 열이 서로가지 조악하고 그러와.
So, of course, there's pleasure. Of course, there's some joy in it.
이난 네 체질이도와.
But it's limited, isn't it?
이난 네 주도랑 지리도와.
Because it can change at any moment, can't it?
맞소 이 결국에도 코랑 주도야지 코랑 여가 내가랑 너체네 주 여가 인상 코랑 제도야 당 코랑 지도야 돼 코랑 랑시다 코랑 주직리도와.
It's not even that we need to change those things. They change by themselves because their nature is they're compounded, they're conditioned, they're put together. Anything that is a combination of other things always has the nature of change, to fall apart, to be destroyed, to end. That's just the nature of things. So if we take our very favorite kind of car, so until we get that, we might have a lot of clinging and hope and grasping in the mind. Wow, I really need to get that car. Then we get it. And then after 2 or 3 years, it's not anything new. It's not anything special. It's like, I don't need this anymore. Then it becomes suffering. Or maybe we go to some glittering kind of city and we see an amazing, beautiful house that's so handsome and desirable, and we say, wow, I really need a house like that, and we really want it. And then we get it, and we stay in it for a couple of years. And we're not allowed to go anywhere. We're just locked up in that house like in a prison, like a lockdown. It's like the air and like a lockdown. And the air slowly becomes stale and the water is kind of dirty. And in that house, we have so many crazy thoughts. And then it becomes like a place of suffering for us. It's changed. Oh. So then like, a great big house, some kind of beautiful place that we might own. It's just like, we'll see that the greatness of it is like just a concept, just a label. So then if we sit there and think, well, when we say a beautiful house, just
it's something that's piled up from earth and stone and all kinds of other materials.
아니 저 다만데 그 저지를 뭐 다만데 저
Like
깔라 다만데
paint.
야 깔라
It's like, and then lots of paint over everything.
양 당별 깔라 가와나지 양 유고 제월로 그래 다 백신 자기도 없고 한이스는 건 유변하지 인자네 백신 맞춰주자니까 그 말이에요.
And then, but it doesn't ever stay the way that we saw it when we clung to it, when we got attached to it, because it's always changing. Everything's always changing. And we don't like that. We don't want things to change like that. And then it's like we can start to see how we're creating our own suffering.
다 concept도 엠바도 지금 다 약시 데려샤 가야 매봐 암조 잠띵띵 아니 룽짱마 추짱마 엠메시야고 도다야 내가 지금 탑시 지기도.
Or maybe we say, oh, no. It's the countryside that's so wonderful. The countryside, a place where it's quiet and it's away from the city and it's super quiet and the air is so clean and the water, it's so pure and it's so quiet there. It's like pin drop quiet. Yeah, that's what I want. And then we start getting attached to that.
아니 배닝 제모 데니 샘젠도 싱나도 싱가도 배닝 제모 란서서 저러봐 쉬어도 배메시 양 착바 슉 첨부도 제기도.
We say, oh, it's so beautiful out here. It's so quiet. The air is so fresh. The water is so nice. There's wild animals, the forest, the trees. Oh, I like it so much. And then we get super attached to that. And then we get that. And we sort of relax for a bit. It was like insects. Oh, honeybees. And like, in the flowers, suddenly there's bees everywhere. And they say, oh, yeah, I'll stay with them. They'll be my friends. And the bees fly in, they see a beautiful flower, and they fly there and they taste the nectar and enjoy it. So then, apart from like that kind of enjoyment a bee gets from a flower, our mind is like that too. We don't really, apart from sort of temporary tastes and pleasures, we don't really get lasting satisfaction. So if we just stay like that and kind of just keep relaxing, just so if we just so if we just keep relaxing and staying like that and looking at pretty flowers and smelling the nice clean air and eating nice tasty foods and saying, oh, this place is so beautiful, and we just pass our time like that, then we become basically just like the deer, just like the rabbits, just like all the animals that live in the forest. But we're not even like the animals, because on top of that, we have so many crazy thoughts. Our minds are just spinning all the time with all of our thoughts. And it's like the whole world is in our hand and we're analyzing and judging it. This is good, that's bad. And we just spin around in our thoughts all about everything.
역시 그래 어디 잘라 님바리도 와.
And then we start getting attached to like old things, like antique things. We say, oh, old antique things, those are the best.
그 루저저라다 고저저라다 초춘 면조지이나 디 잘라 님바 로 짜자 뭐뭐.
Things that are actually kind of rotten, things that are spoiled, things that are broken, things you can't even use anymore. We say, oh, those antique things, wow, I love those so much.
미스 자고전
There's so much attachment.
미기 통을 한다지도
But you actually look at them and see how they are.
펜도 매마 통을
You see that they just aren't useful at all.
이나 양 딘르기 로 통보 이나 미스 로 뭐시 짜치 뭐 이나 짜치지도 뉴모래도 마반이 냠도 돼
But if it's the case that, you know, just by being old, something, you know, the older something is, the better it is. If that's really the case, then the best things in the whole world will be our own destructive emotions. Because those have been with us for the longest time, for so many lifetimes. So that's how confused we are, isn't it? So if we like really big things, really big, beautiful things, then why not the mountains? The mountains are the tallest things. Then we think of the grass, the ground, the rocks. They've been around for such a long time. So we should like those the most. So by liking those things so much, we just keep wandering. We just keep cycling and wandering in samsara, in cyclic existence, so long.
그런 시비 분조대 뜻사 든조간에 배주체 랑루 예예 루셈 뜻사 든조간에 고 펜도체네 배주체야지 배주체야래.
So all of these things, the wonder, the delightful things of samsara, they are things to use. They're things to use and enjoy for our own body. They're things that we can help other people enjoy with their bodies and minds. They're things to use and enjoy. But we shouldn't think this is the best. This is the best. This is the best kind of thing. For example, if we think that, you know, the most delightful or pleasing kind of sound, our favorite kind of sound. It's only something that we actually want to hear sometimes. If our very favorite sound, our very favorite song, that we say, oh, this is the best, this is my favorite song. If we sat down and listened to it 24/7 for a whole week, we wouldn't like it at all. It's the same with food, isn't it? It's the same with food. Our very favorite kind of food, we actually only want to eat a little bit of it. As soon as we eat too much of it, it's like we're almost angry. We're aversive towards it. Set aside liking it. It gives rise to aversion if we eat too much of it. So all of that, to understand it in a more thorough way is really beneficial.
동네 라지라 대화 진당 차당데 온 딘데도
To understand how we take what is fundamentally the nature of suffering and cling onto it as happy and pleasurable.
다네 참아서니
The one who makes all of those things,
다 매와라 딱두지니
the one who takes what is fundamentally not a self and not an identity and takes it as a self.
어디서도 롱엔디
And who makes that?
치죽다 들어라 소바 참말로
And everything, all the forms that we see, the sounds, the taste, the smells that we experience,
난기 쌤
the mind inside,
차당이로 제사 용수 줘봐
the place where all of our attachment and aversion occurs.
주제라 뜨바 주제라 땜바 주제라 채바 잠시마도 코로나 못 때마다 랑신 때마다 아니 사치고 뭐지 가져로다 직 수직을 맞대봐 지금 민도아
Apart from just the temporary coming together of different causes and conditions, the temporary coming together of circumstances, this interdependence, apart from merely appearing due to that interdependence, none of that has any inherent solidity, inherent concreteness, inherent truth from its own side. None of it is so great and so wonderful like we cling to it.
당가서 서로가 녀석이 양쌤이라야지도 들리기 때도 녀니
So the one that experiences feelings, the one that experiences pleasure and pain, happiness and suffering, it's the mind, isn't it?
싫어함 셰바지도 여러와
You know, we have an intelligence, we have cognition in the mind.
맞죠 쌤이 랑이 니축하네 때와이나 아니 코뺀 잠보 셀바 당마 짱마지 차디기도 와
If we can come to meet with the nature of that mind, the essence or the nature of that mind, then becomes extremely jumbo. It's like smooth and jumbo da any
셀바
salwa any and dangwa. So like smooth and lucid and pure.
강다를 로심 라야디
In any case, what we call getting like discouraged,
주제 동네비 랑신 찍라 대화지네 아니 랑기 되바 나지 아니 매바 송장 아니 어여 니주당 게 수수기 낭주다 니주니데 그 게바 인장 아니 로심 저거라
so the way that this discouragement comes is that we've taken what is fundamentally what is fundamentally suffering, and we've taken it as happiness or pleasure or joy, but it didn't fulfill its promise. What it gave was in contradiction to what our expectation was. In other words, the way that we perceived and experienced was out of balance with the way things actually are. And when there's a contradiction between the way we've perceived and the true reality, then we get discouraged.
맞아 당지 라야지도 다리 판 유무 독슈리 라야지
So, Dr. Zimba, what we call clinging to the self, what we call grasping to the sense of self, we almost can say that's the worst kind of afflictive emotion.
덴바르 짐바
Taking things as real, taking things as truly real and concrete, reifying things.
안 짐바 직 마릭바 라야지도
There's a type of the zimbagi chachi.
짐바 말에 동의기 짜와 마릭바 라야지
So
열에스
there's also what's called ignorance of not knowing, which is at the very root of suffering.
다 마릭바에게 다 다리 응라 주야나지 아니 그 가리를 마릭바에서는 뭐 니치 마토니 유코랑 가리 니치 마토니.
So what we call marikpa, or not knowing, or ignorance, what is that? What is it that we don't know? What are we ignorant about? It's as we were just discussing, we don't know what the real nature is. We don't know what the true reality is.
뭐 니치 마토와 짬도 마세 아니 춤이 이시지 남도 유저 따니 아니지 술때 춤바 마임바 쟤네 그 가서 차상으로 젠도로.
Not only do we not recognize how things actually are in their own nature, but then we give rise to so many different kinds of thoughts, so many ways of thinking and judging that are out of alignment with the way things are. And we generate attachment, we generate aversion.
다 사노다니 나서 장주기 쌤저 짜침물에 쌤바상부 짜침물에 라디 수이나 가기로와.
So if we think about it, this the altruistic mind, the mind of bodhicitta, a good mind, a good heart, everybody likes that.
다 쌤바 짐바 가르세르 쌤바 장부 라디 나서 간디스 용그래.
So what we call a good mind, a good heart, where does it come from? Where does that come from?
맞아 옛낭주다 니주 뺨미싱게와 신나서지 응은이 가서 계시 시행바.
We spoke about how the way that we perceive and the way things actually are can be in total contradiction.
다음에 발라 닥터지 나메 발라 나지 나자치 모용고도 나 되니 니콜 니 낭미 자치 모용고도 내가 착받지 아니 착받지서 인자네 아니 조지라 당와지 아니 뭐시바 뭐부지라 당와지르와 뭐시바 뭐부지라 착받지르도 뭐 마시 받들라 따뇽 술리르와.
So like, as we were mentioning, taking what is not really a self to be a self, to be the identity, taking what is not really me to be me. And then we get attached to it. Me, mine, what's mine, my things, my body, my family, my world, my home. And so then there's a lot of attachment forms about that. And then what's on the other side becomes others, and then we can give rise to aversion. There's a lot of people we know that trigger our aversion. So we have attachment and we have aversion. And then most people who we don't really know, we're just neutral. We just don't have any interest.
제가 가서 샘제라 따와데 친지로 너들 찍체 따와데 너들 차산에 되니 줘봐대 빠져 너들 차야 돼 거인 말해도.
And so it's the case that for us, many of us, we have like an incorrect view, like a problem with our view or understanding. And based on the incorrectness in our view or understanding, our behavior and our conduct also then becomes out of balance.
안 가서 마취순이야 다 돈이 줘야 돼 빼미시 깔래 갖고 라다 빼미시 시샤 빼 카타고 제가 줘지라. 딘데랑 그 칼레 딘데랑 제에서 말와 수삼당 와 있나?
So we might think, for example, that thing that they're always talking about, that emptiness thing. Oh, that's so difficult. It's so complicated. I don't know. I can't understand that. But actually, it's not like that.
근데 지나 인중이 봐 대가랑 게 돈이 봐 하고줄 거고야지.
actually, if we can understand that things are interdependent, that things are dependent on other things, if we really understand that at that very moment, we can also understand emptiness.
때니 중화 인자니 아니 거를 떼어라 때니 중화 인나 아니 거랑만 매봐 타셔 자라.
And so if something is, dependent on other things, it relies on something else. And so if it relies on something else, it's not free from its own side. It doesn't have inherent freedom if it's always relying and depending on other things.
대나신 제가 나치 내용들 코띠 코 똥바 매나 코 제가 나치 용식 말어.
And even what we call, birth and old age and sickness and death. If those things were not empty, then
그 똥바 인장 제가 나치 용거.
if there wasn't emptiness, if they weren't fundamentally empty, they couldn't happen because nothing could change. If there wasn't emptiness, nothing could appear and change.
당가 똥바니 또도 똥바니 또도 쟁도.
So we think, I need to realize emptiness. I must realize emptiness.
낭배 주 가래. 라이르와 낭바 이제 주 가래래.
And then we say,
토슈데 가래래.
and we say, what is this? What is this Buddha Dharma? What is the Buddha's teachings? What's the highest teaching?
수수 보고 말해봐. 충중다 보고 주대 지면 되고. 로체벌레 자로. 토슈 약주도 지고 지고. 비비 말해봐.
Not 보고 말아. Last.
수수.
Yeah.
네체데 보고 말해봐. 네체 미친모야 차사로와. 이나야 딜라 빠고 나 추데 낭배 추데 토슈데 고르다. 나 마오데 먹었다 나 마고 장고야 되면도 나 카토 가지고 가래 쪽바 전부 창바 전부 장바지 장제 쪽제 야면나 살동소 줄려요세 가래나 나 토슈데 나 단다 빼면서 나 주네요 나 미니요 아니 나라 다수고네요 나 토슈데 고도 정도야.
So we think, I'm not a child. I'm a grown person. I don't need the beginning stages of the Dharma. I want the highest Dharma. I want the best Dharma. I'm ready for that. I've achieved some success in life. I'm strong. I'm old. I'm smart. I want the best. I want the best right now. I want Dzogchen. I want the great perfection. I want Chakchen. I want Mahamudra. I want the unity of emptiness and lucidity. I want that right now. So we think like that. It's like, I don't want any of the early stuff, the beginning stuff, the basic levels of the teaching. I don't need any of that. I only want the best. And actually, we haven't even seen that thought in itself brings us right down to the bottom. Because the nature of all phenomena is emptiness. And yet we're clinging. I'm important. I'm so important. I want the most important teaching for the most important me. And then that's all clinging. But emptiness and clinging are like the opposite of each other.
Then lama did gender pedro. There's chick namjuni. Sipe punzo pet chuburo. Colors. Kita jikteji lockjaw bang where. Allah. Trolling into Marella. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we go and we meet like a lama. Then we go meet to go meet a teacher, and we kind of show up, and and we're so educated, and we're wealthy, we're successful. we have a reputation.
소소로 니한다여래. 다 땀나
Fame.
찍어래.
We have fame.
다 주여줘 용나.
Then we go to receive the teachings
주 다시 되켜줘라. 그거다.
and we say, I want the best teaching you got. I want the highest teaching. That's what I need. That's what I need.
랍사 가셔데 마이 미. 그러지. 무드디 썰어와.
And then we 소소기 밍.
사지부터.
Oh yeah, then we present our card with our name on it. We show up with that.
디니? 라마를 뭐체디야. 기다려나?
Then if you happen to meet with a little bit of a strange lama or a rinpoche,
아니, 제가 시원해. 거야 짜차르다.
and then they say, oh wow, that's amazing, and then it's like they bow to you.
다 제발. MSC 짜 남들어서 남들 용나 코수가 돌다. 진짜 아유, 됐어. 됐어. 마우. 아 가리 있는 매나 항달. 산다다 미디 나 추야고라고 말해.
Yeah, the lamas get very excited.
아니 mam부지를 대고는 콜 믹스해서 주자고라. 건가지 인체도로. 네. 거기 돈이 간수도 오래디. 장주쌤 간수제 오다. 내가 간수제 오래 콜.
So lama gets very excited and gives them some VIP place to sit, and shows them respect. But then, how to give them emptiness? How to give somebody bodhicitta?
때니 참패기로.
Sometimes they come.
다 라마디 파나 이제 삼당을. 그 엄마디 고그래 파도 고그.
Sometimes they come on occasion, but it's sort of like they want the milk. The lama becomes a cow. They want the milk from the cow. They don't need the cow.
라마디 최자네 동행 걸 가려야지 지금 제바지나 라메 송야 여러 바디 쥐나 엄마 여러.
They want, so they come, they ask the question, the lama answers the question, and it's like they're milking the cow.
이나야 밀티 똥으로.
But then when they drink the milk,
마 디메니 추마도 엄마라고 말.
but it's like when they drink the milk, it becomes water. They haven't got any milk.
다들 적 사오지래. 오늘.
Digi bardo.
Yeah.
It's like they only get milk up to the throat, and everything below that becomes water.
나와 가인세나 대바다 다 나온다. 근데 이치 왜 말이다.
Because
이나야 책상보지라 그래.
Siksampo.
책상보. 야, 저희 책상보지.
So the reason is that they don't actually have trust. They don't actually have faith. They don't actually have pure perception. And so they've gotten like excellent words.
되니 다 등에나 당고 체주되나 아니 왕불이 값을 최소나?
Dangbo jeju.
체주요.
So then when you first meet, then maybe you receive an empowerment.
다 왕지 하고 말아 왕 가리임이.
But don't really understand, but we don't really understand what the empowerment is. We don't know what the essence of empowerment is.
되니 사고양가 나야 갈래라.
Then, then there's supposed to be the meditating on the deity and visualizing the deity, reciting the mantra.
다디 니주노네 뺨 미지 깔라가고 쉬우지 그래. 항달.
Then we get into that and we say, it's so difficult. This is a very confusing thing.
맞아 이게 낭주다 니주마 되바데 대창말로 짐바 예전 당진기 랑진진기.
So in any case, when our perception, when our appearance when our perception and experience is very contradictory to the real reality, to how things actually are, then we give rise to all these kinds of mistaken, distorted forms of grasping, clinging to the self, clinging to things as real and true.
낭추 쟤네 로 니슈숨 주차여나 로 짭주차여나
Kissy, nyamnen denzo.
딘딘도 오지
So if we practice in that way, with that confusion, even Dharma, for 10 years, for 20 years, for many years,
다디니 셈나나 셈 뒤라 빽깔레 가고라
it becomes very difficult to actually tame our mind.
아주 셈 줌라야 돼 아니 마슈바 지야 빽깔레 가고래
And when we get discouraged, when we get down, to come out of that, to get inspired again, is very difficult, isn't it?
강다 수 더나 셈 줘야 돼 당지 말이 받아 랑진진이 지속을
In any case, when we get discouraged, when we lose the fearless heart, it's due to self-grasping, it's due to clinging, it's due to ignorance.
아니 셈 뒤야 셈 자친부 셈 장보라야 돼 다음에 똑바지 싫어 다음에 비 최탐지 다음에 비 되신 땡지지 대 코나니 셴네 아니 차당대 마신 랑츠미 이제 남도다 대샤시당 제조기 단들니 좀 지연주디 독나지지 통네 아니 따와 정부디 자친부 제 차로래 그 영부 자친부 라야 돼
And so the mind, however, that can be very open, that can be very vast, that can be very good, where does that come from? It comes from realizing, it comes from the prajna, the insight that realizes the absence of self. In other words, it comes from seeing what is not truly a self for what it is, which is not a self. And so when we see things correctly, in harmony with how they actually are, then the mind can become excellent. The mind can become vast. The mind can become open. And all of the afflictive emotions that we have, and all of the thoughts and the confused thoughts that we have can be reduced. Our attachment and anger can be reduced. Our mind can become very, very vast, very, very open.
예수스 타바 톤비로 아니 타바 톱주요 하고
And then the mind that yearns for liberation, that wishes for liberation, and that knows that liberation can be attained, that also comes.
아니 민중 라나메 바지 제이리
And then you can have like unsurpassable renunciation.
다데니 쩨바 자치 못 차르와 니데니
And then through that, our conduct also can become precious.
랑찌고 튼달라 아니 미치 차와지 돼야돼 쪼고 쉬어 통데바 타입이 셈제 탐지 랑나지 동에 만데바 대완데비 니 중간에 랑게 랑아 있음데 셈제 탐지 대발라 끄 투야지 아니 시럽 퓨드 중원 아니 닝지 퓨드 중원 세와 퓨드 중원지 니바 퓨드 중원지 용데바지 니다 고로 니 주기 시작할 여대바당 랑기 셈라 여대바지
Nasala. And so seeing how being concerned and just centered on our own well-being, on our own happiness and well-being in this life, seeing that as a very sort of a state of poverty. And rather than that, giving rise to a real concern for all other beings, limitless beings, and vowing to use our body, speech, and mind to try to help them, to try to serve them, to try to reduce their suffering. That can come too, that kind of attitude. And then we can talk about, superior insight, superior compassion, superior power and capacity. So all of those things, they're inherent in the true nature of how things are. And they're also inherent in our own mind.
Any so ye michina la kangi chingdu ani kangi la namju shedan la yan ta khondro kharjoro da dasha jeya da simma ji ba sim shubi rik zola ani di mewa cha mewa ma che dini ningji je di nyang de soba je laksam je be simna la kangi chun mewa be misi shirap zamute dang chanju sim di ye and tawa zambu choba zambu digi katu yina sula yina digi tundoya rangji boyina gomina gom jeptoya ani lama yina kunju sum zoya da zachimbo yinba tela gajin chiagi nimba di rangi chowa kawa rang jikpa li choba yinzang rangi jikpa li choba nosoba susu yi hawa yinzang gajin cheri tebari yi chebari ta dindisi chunga yina ani zachimbo charida that same mushroom balaya di tap dizure
That's a lot.
ninje ina chori ba maraba zachimbo re yeah
That's all. Tiki Jilang, so this just cause of this sambo. That's all. And so that kind of courage, that lack of discouragement, So, for example, we meet with a difficult situation in life. We all have problems and struggles. Normally, what happens? We get angry, or we get attached, or we get discouraged. We think, I can't manage it. All of that can go away. Instead, just compassion can come out. Even meeting with hardships and struggles, just compassion. And so that is a very, very precious frame of mind. And so when we achieve that kind of excellent view, which is understanding how things actually are, the true nature of how things are, when our view is in harmony with that, an excellent view can come. With an excellent view, excellent conduct and behavior can come. Through excellent conduct, whoever we interact with and meet, we can bring some happiness. We can bring some joy to them. If we're on our own, we want to meditate, we have extraordinary joy and happiness right there. We also start to see sublime teachers and the three jewels as really precious and important. We also start to be protected from fear. Our fear can be reduced because instead of fear, we can have trust, we can have faith. And so we can have the absence of fear. So this question, I think from the title of the program, fearless. So how to be fearless? It's from this. This is how we can become fearless. And then also compassion can be unbiased. It can be non-preferential. That is a very, very precious thing.
That's all. Ni kama chujujuda chegala je tuya izra. Tani kama kutsu tuya shisha konda. Gewandi jiwo gun sonawi shi, tsozone sonawi shi, tamba kuni tobar sho.
So we'll take a half an hour break now. Sorry, I got excited and maybe said too much. So we'll have a half hour break now. Let's see, some things.
Welcome back, everybody, and this is our Q&A portion of our program. And people are welcome to step up to the mic here. You can form a queue if you'd like. Please don't be shy. And the only thing he asks is that the question is somewhat concise and related to the teaching. And you know, we always want to put our story in as well, but if we don't have time, we're trying to get through as many questions as possible. And we also have some online questions that have been submitted through YouTube that we will read aloud. So thank you.
Hello.
I am wondering, for a long time, I thought Buddhism meant accepting all things as they are and not speaking up when something was uncomfortable or unfair. And I'm trying to understand when compassion means saying things need to change and saying things might not be appropriate and influencing the world with strength.
Are we live here with the mics? Yeah.
Yeah.
They asked me to repeat the question, I think, for the recording, so apologize for that. So I think the question was, for a long time, you for a long time you thought that the Dharma meant accepting things as they are and not trying to change anything. But you're wondering when in the practice of compassion we should speak up and try to change something and when not to?
Yes, and what the appropriate use of strength or force is.
Okay, and the appropriate use of strength or force in that way. Kongi chuasana ni ngama kongi samsula ani chu sayadi ani din nelu the rangshin ka yimbadi kelengo sa dabogi samsul inia kongi chuasana ningje ge korre di ningje yana kadu ani chik gyogore pechishana ni dukchachena ani shenla nepachena kadu jurwa chechogre kadu chechora ani dinalani sosogi nupa sosogi ra kandres pechatangres
laso ani ta nyamle chelu 당고 닝제 로단이 저 chetanzida 탑단 시럽니데 뭐 조직네 탑 로단 탑람 아니 시럽 전죽sem다 똥만이 로단 니 토네 아니 따지 잠바다 제벨로 공바딜라 아니디 지 직제나 람상 가져로다 직 쇠바 지바이나 나 전죽 있음 배 랍샤 약보래 나 쇠바 지고래 되네 딘드스네 된독하고래와 디직이레스 이나야 시럽지 잡된 제바이나 아니 이제 람상제야지 탑이요래 가인세나 아니 파이교데라 셰당 라야 더샤라야 디 코라니 출발에 코 출발랑드샤 닝제 데니 트레토네 더샤 트레토네 셰당 콩루랑스디 코 위데 랑지 마주바 통하네 데니 mikpamewe 토니 닌제데 자부시우체 데니 닌제데를 점점 몸보여 mikpame와 통하이나 데니 셈제 이베 토네 아니 강이 몸보지로와 데라 데니 동일라 데니 양 닌제지야 점전시 마시 진제 다제 냠제 라야기 니추지 통웨 토네 아니 시럽비행아니 자와지바이나 아니 쇠바당 학삼다 닌제 쌤 상만 주바 때부터 그래. 시럽디 배주도 마톱 친제라 되니 우주기 니주 가시 깔려가고 싶라 요리다 그죠?
That's so. So as we walk on the path of compassion, as we practice compassion, then we always need, the wisdom side and the skillful means side. Or we need bodhicitta and we need emptiness. We need like always these two sides working together. So, if we start to develop, for example, loving kindness, love and concern, but then we think right away, like when we really start that practice, immediately we should be able to have patience to everything, put up with anything, bear anything. That's really difficult. And we say, oh, I've heard about the benefits of bodhicitta, I've heard about the bodhicitta training, so I should be able to bear with anything, handle anything, be patient with anything. That's quite difficult. We need to rely on wisdom. We need insight and wisdom guiding us. With wisdom, there is a way to give rise to compassion, very quickly in any situation. There is a method for that. So something bad, comes to us, we can relate like, oh, wow, that person's confused. That person is confused. Through their confusion, they're getting angry. Through their confusion, they're giving rise to attachment. They're giving rise to delusion. And so we can come to understand that and relate with compassion because of that. And so there's a few different reasons why we can generate compassion. So one, for example, is understanding that any object that we face is not inherently, independently solid from its side. And if we can understand that lack of inherent solidity in existence, something can happen which is called compassion without reference point. A compassion that has no reference point. And so, this comes from a few different angles. So for example, one of them is that any being, any sentient being suffers. All sentient beings suffer just automatically. They all face difficulties. And because they suffer, just because they suffer, that's one way to give rise to compassion. And so we can train that also. We can train in, for example, equalizing ourself and others. We can also train in exchanging self and others, putting ourselves in others' place and vice versa, and use that to develop our insight and our wisdom. And so through that, slowly, we can have patience, we can have benevolence, and we can have compassion. So in brief, without the wisdom side, without the insight side, just trying to have patience through some kind of force is very difficult.
So the rangi zimbadi chenangi zimbadi ranginde le shena donge yin rang so de zimbala turoa zimbadi ranginde ha gona ani zimbadi ma le jana ani donge thodoroa di yin pa kapena ani de na yi zimbegi chawa chiungdu donge yobadi inza ani ninji jeala ani jeje momoji hago so togo tamsum sama jela de nyungre chanju gisem parchin tu sama jela de nyungre nanga so chawa kharishina jela de nyungene jomje momboyer takwato jinde donge mandeba deba debi nitsungane trubade donge chiniji lo trudeba de hawa de garangla ninjejeya semi ranginde yoseba zachimudi matowade tomde de garangla yoseba korangla ani tabada yishingane 야 얘는 ninjejeya 대 마동이 nitsungane ninjejeya 참 몸보도 왔어. 출래지 니게다 다 비밀도 니제세는 남주 최 너네 송도 다니 들이 자기도 와.
Lasso. 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 So also when our grasping and clinging relaxes a little bit, loosens a little bit, then this also can really help, because really the main source of difficulty is clinging. And so, when we come to understand what the true nature is of reality, of experience, then our clinging can be reduced over time. And with the reduction of clinging, also suffering can be liberated. That liberates suffering. So like that. And there's so many ways to generate compassion. So just seeing somebody whose way of perception and the reality that they're perceiving is out of harmony, is in contradiction, we can generate compassion. It's like we're seeing the cause and the effect within them, And so also we can see that everything we have, or spiritually or worldly, relies on others. Everything we eat, everything we wear, everything we enjoy comes from others. And the 6 paramitas, our generation of merit depends on others also. And so, And so also understanding, what is the nature of confusion? Understanding confusion and how it works and seeing it in others, compassion can come. And then the profound nature as well, the true nature of the mind, which is luminous, clear light, this precious nature that is there. If it is seen, there's all these incredible qualities, faith and pure perception and compassion and wisdom and so on. So the fact that someone doesn't know that, they don't see that precious, clear light, luminous nature of their own mind, compassion also comes. So in any case, there's so many ways that compassion can be generated. And this is all connected to very wonderful Dharma teachings about compassion and compassion without reference point.
Some questions coming in on YouTube. So this question says, when I look into my heart, I struggle to find uncomplicated love for human beings. There's lots of judgment and blame, but it's easy with other animals and pets. How do I love humans like I naturally love other animals?
The question was, when I look into my heart, it's tough to have uncomplicated love for other people without judgment and blame. But I do feel this for animals. How can I come to have that kind of blameless, non-judgmental love for people like I have for animals? Chesan di chua sena kongi sem nangla rangi sem la taju ani mi shendala ani ngene laksam jamse gisamba kia des kale kakpodo kaisana yak duk mombotong ani shenla blame is like kunjung kunjun kunjun Shen Kyunzin and Yakdu Tawala Tene and it is Kale Kapodo, Nani di Jamse Ra number Dakpade. In a Dundrola, Yongedus, just an Dundrolanshi, and Mila Kandres Jamse number Dapa, Kichogres.
Oh, really? That Jamze like the Kom the Mahom Hydra. 다 마용한디 다 근진다 남도 드즈디 고 디칼라 ngazu che kho thoma me bani khom dira ta di na ne ya semje za chen bo yin chu ni chu da nang chu di ani ha ya bu ko bu do so dari na ji temba droba ji lo de zo kala droba ina teni so ye ani chamje che pe kale khago chagiro di ngane tangjin di shuk chena rang jinjin di shuk chena ani chamje pendo che ala di peche ye khazoro da di sa di ka ro namdo di shadang de sha timu tende che yungro de la ani chamje mayin bi lo di gi rang dungye zo yo ba yin dungye zo yo ba dungye di me ba zo ko ya ji ani thongbo cha jin jik mo de so mo de che go do
so that's so that's so that's so so the mind of love and affection for others is something we need to cultivate, and so it needs to be something that we practice and habituate to. And so if it's not there, if we don't have it, and rather we have a lot of blame and judgments arising in our mind, we can understand that, well, we're habituated to that instead. And that habituation has come from a very, very long time, from countless lifetimes. And so we have that habit. And so in general, we need to reflect and understand that sentient beings in general, how they see things, how they perceive, and what is actually the reality, and understand the differences there. So that's one thing we need to understand. And so basically, we have, a mind that clings to things as solid and real, truly real, taking things as real. So we have that kind of mind state. And so, the root of blame, the root of judgment is actually self-clinging, self-cherishing in the end. And so that's what prevents love and concern for others from flourishing. And so when we have self-cherishing, then we have attachment, and we give rise to aversion, and we give rise to a lot of problems. And we can come to see that when the mind is lacking loving kindness, it causes problems for ourselves, and it causes problems for others. And so I think first and foremost, we have to see the mistake from our side. So.
So
we learn how to engender faith. Primarily, in the Namari, we learn how to engender faith primarily as a product of gratitude for the teacher's kindness. I wonder if Kandala had any advice on how to take this a step further. And as she mentioned in her talk with Daniel Aitken in the dog, how to concretely and actually see the teacher as a Buddha, as she mentioned in her closing remarks. So
okay.
Great. Just some advice.
Okay, I think your question was so from the Lamrim teachings, we're taught to generate faith based on reflecting on the kindness of the teacher, giving us teachings, and so on. And the question is how to go beyond that, even as she mentioned in with the wisdom talk, and actually develop pure perception and see the teacher as a Buddha. Yeah. So, Kongchuasana ani lamrem nangla ani so di tepa kitsul so sana ani lamagi kadre dre ani lama chu sunya de ya dre ani dilatene depa kichogresa ani Kongchuasana dile lax ngane dangnang draboge ani kasa ani kandulagi o ani rangi lama ani ngane sanje yimba ra sanje ge nang dushe kegores chesani lama sanje yimba lama dangnang tutawadi kandres kegres
그래서 류를 류한지 봐 띠묵을 이제 봐 대신 요 탐지게 띠묵 좀 봐줄 라야지 가거나 라만 대바지 저기 뭐서 아 년 벌써 봤어 나서 라마라 대바 이제 니지 타자 같이 오르세
dilelax ani sanjigi lama sanjigi dushe dangnangro
라서 다 라마 띵주라 아니 너희가비 라마 띵주 아니 군주 숨 라야디 간다지레샤 추군주 긴두군주 되니가 이까니 라마 띵주 아니 살롱 틱레 아니 야 갈래가 나 타투게 야 세미랑신 여설바 에 가레지 이메 된지라마랑 유미 셰라디 아니 다 질랍다 님바 용수 조발라메 소양디 자체데 아니 가서지 뉴모 투숨 라야디 당지 마리과 짜와니 메와서다 라메 숭 랑진지 메와서 라메 숭 아니 옌진진 자체보 임바 이게 내 중간에 잔육이 쌤제 아니 니 탑다 시럽되니 초수 찾네 아니 소소기 냠내지 제와이나 되니 대바 당랑 이시 라야디 루바메 맞지 레기로
나서
니저 하마고 하지 주주가 라미 지송까지 라야 되서다 다 망부지 뜻을 깔래 가고 그러와 양 라마 쪽쪽들이나 지송까지 제가 지나 양 마티용아 하고 말해 야 깔락하고 싶으라 디서 라마 랄라나 메바서 걸 가르라나 메바고 그래서나 아니 나저 잔죽 있습니다 돈이 따와디 달라나 메바리 다 뺨미시 직과 용수 좁아 아니 메바 조tum니 아니 디지 용수 좁아 데tum니 내갑다 타르도 다 딜라나 메바와 디 아니 카르저로가다지 귤라 덴데니 자첨보지라 아니 라마시고로와 니마도 강진가라 죽수던 강진가라 자스던 로블람 지비디 나메 통선 라마조리지 가르지고로다지 입다 카도 잠 계셔 마임바 잔죽 있음 돈이 따와라 소소 검지지도 아니 간상진에 되니 라마디 잔죽 있음다 돈이 따와주 모임바지 통나 아니 산지 통라 네 통을 미후다 대발라야 되라 잔죽 있음다 돈이 따와들라 렌데로와 메발라 아니 수수 가져로다 그 이지 지야라 동번이지 된시바이나 아니 차라 참모 주진 참모 시바이나 타르바 톱주여봐 톱롱여봐 랑기 톱주여봐 아니 하고용도 아니 디 타입이 심진라 파카보디 아니 닌지 첨볼레데야 나 첨보지 디 송년데 아니 라마 인자니 질랍다 님바요 수족바 다 라마니 용거로 이담 라야다 짜침보 멍보여 되대 참아 난 접수 군디 용어고 라마 자그 인자 나 데즈디 타 되나 라마데 돈이 이제 중난지 가라 아니 소소이 하고에 뒤줄라 에 산지 다야마도 가져로다 지당기다 디 송아 대가라나 수수 이제다 대박 매봐 지거에다 멍보여래 달라마 디지데 뺨미시 자침불이 이제라 이나지 특제 단디라고다 라완초디라고 말해 시샤 용수 줘봐 파추 자침보여래 될래 잔죽선다 돈이 따와디 제니여 말와 디 제니인데 자치슈 차래 One baby, what does
Salah. Kang tutup. Kang tutup. So there's like a lot of things to learn. First of all, we could say like how a teacher or a lama teacher is understood in the sutra system, in the sutra context. How to understand the three jewels. Then also in the Vajrayana context, the context of Vajrayana or secret mantra, how to rely on a lama, how to rely on a teacher from that point of view, you know, talking about prana and nadi and bindu and so on. And then finally, the ultimate sense, the nature of the mind itself, the luminous nature, which is said to be the ultimate lama. You know, the final and ultimate lama is found within the true nature of the mind. So those various levels. So basically, we always need skillful means and prajna or wisdom. We always need these two wings. And then we need to receive instruction. We need to practice. And through practice, through familiarizing ourselves with the path of skillful means and the path of, you know, wisdom, then naturally through the practice, we can have faith, we can have pure perception, and our faith and pure perception can be luamepa. It's like undeceiving. Yeah, not deceptive. So, you know, and understanding these kinds of things, you know, understanding what gives rise to attachment, what gives rise to anger, what gives rise to delusion, understanding that the source of that comes down to clinging to the sense of self, ignorance, understanding what self-cherishing, you know, that self-cherishing, you know, seeing the flaws of self-cherishing, seeing how it leads to suffering, seeing the benefits of cherishing others, seeing the benefits of bodhicitta. So those then practicing in that way, you know, and understanding the subtle and coarse workings of causality, of karma. And that liberation is possible, not just generally possible, it's possible for ourselves as well, for each of us. So understanding all those and practicing all those, you know, things like faith and pure perception can come through that practice. So if we don't do that, if we don't study and train in that way, and we just want to suddenly see our teacher as a Buddha or something, I'm not so sure that's going to work. Because, you know, these days, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that can happen. And, you know, the lama, the word lama in Tibetan has a sense of lana mepa, which means like unsurpassable. So what should be unsurpassable? Bodhicitta should be unsurpassable. Emptiness, those things are always unsurpassable. So otherwise, there's a big danger, you know? Things could go really well, things could go really badly. So, you know, we need to know how to bring down our negative emotions and really find true happiness and joy, temporary happiness and joy, and lasting, ultimate happiness and joy. So then there's all these different methods, all these different ways we can slowly come to see the way that a Lama is the Buddha. Lama is so precious, even of course the Yidam's precious and the Dakini is precious, all the different practices, but the Lama is exceedingly important. So it's very important to slowly generate faith and to learn how to rely on a Lama, how to use a Lama as a support. So amongst all of those, the most important thing that we can get from a Lama is bodhicitta and emptiness. So then at the very end, she said, "Om mani padme hum." I said too much.
Thank you.
Question's also good, and my questions are simple. I'm only 65 now, so I have like heavy pain, neck pain, back pain, I have arthritis and pain. But when I have pain, I'm very irritable, not very friendly. So I want to ask Angela, what advice do you have for me to help me become able to be happy and compassionate when I have pain?
Sounds like your question is that you've reached 65, you have a lot of pain, some pain in your head, some pain in your neck, some pain in your back, arthritis also. And when you feel pain, you get irritable. It's hard to be friendly. So you're asking Kanjala, how can you be friendly when you're feeling pain? Marangi Triyasanani lo drukshu re nga strabo chakso nga gongko nga gebo chik chas nga lo drukchu sangas lepson ani gola nagidu ani tela nagidu ani gasikna nagidu ani dramendra nagidu ani nadu ani tes namgyur yakpo ani jamse drabodi kea kakodo tes magawa Gicha Rashidang Yamana Magawa Gicha Langidus Chesang Morangi Triasana O Kanjala Ani Nadu Kandres Namgyur Yakpo Ani Jamse Kichobres.
Je Hangazo Zugode and then as a Dashajetan Timugi Ramameva Lepte Judres.
So this body that we have, it's like uncontrollable that we give rise to attachment, we give rise to aversion, we give rise to confusion.
And
all these, things that we seek happiness from, in the end, have the nature of suffering.
The
food, the clothing, all the things we seek happiness from have this nature of suffering, but not just ourselves. It's like all beings are in the exact same situation. So at this time,
Tangaling and but Miswa, Tindi Tungindi, Misula Mayuasho, Ani Didido some Tawaina, Tungindi Nyamdola, Sonam Sagres. Tungi you are Kajila, Rangi Sonam Satures. Ani Bidabi Rangi, Samadare, Chene, di Kochu Simna, Jinjo Maris. Ani Kap Chigla. Oh, 동이 사치 독자지 가와도 이 동이디 가와도 따와이나 코처바 잠지레마도 독도 믹세요 말아바스 게 참말로다 미다비랑지 라 삼당 에 동이지 디 서바디 레주지나라 안수서 가조로 디제 돈에라 삼나당 디제 지와이나 냠 뒤냠들라 손남사 and sim koya wachares and sim rangi la dana ani di dongi di sim da luni de khares tanga so sim rangi 남주 뭐 마셔 인자 몇 상마다 디레스 고 제가 다시 동네들랑 함라서 쌤라지 뭐 쉐바이나 아니 디 주지 빡빡직 쉬어라 나서 매번 쌤들로 서로 동이 초월링 말 어다 이유시대 야
Yes. Yes. So when suffering comes, we can come to understand that when suffering comes, it doesn't come from nowhere. Suffering comes from causes and conditions, and like the right kinds of causes and conditions coming together. If the causes don't come together in the right way, suffering wouldn't happen. So we can understand that situation. And then when suffering comes, if we think, I'm experiencing this suffering, may anybody else not suffer like this. May this suffering not arise on anyone else. Then at the same moment that we're suffering, we're also generating merit at that very same moment together. Suffering, experiencing suffering becomes merit at the same time. So that's one thing. Another thing, of course, is trying to see the clinging. You know, where's the clinging? So for example, suffering is arising. Sometimes, from time to time, we can try to identify it. You know, really, where is the suffering? You know, where is it? And so apart from just like a mere sensation or a mere feeling, we can't find some like concrete thing that is suffering apart from mere feelings and sensations. So that's another thing. There's also contemplating impermanence, the change in everything. So, you know, the practice of tonglen, of giving and receiving, is extremely precious because at the same moment, while experiencing, we can generate merit. We can also make the mind very open and spacious. And understanding that the body and the mind are different. And of course, also get some exercise, see a doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your advice. I have some friends who live at a Zen monastery near here, and they're very concerned about a factory being built nearby. And the factory on its surface looks like it would be for a good thing, which is to make biofuels made from plants. But the people making it don't seem to have totally pure intentions and have a history of making really bad mistakes in the past, and are also trying to get around local regulations. And so my question was, because Lama Zopa Rinpoche said that as an oracle, you have discernment about what to do to, how to deal with these kind of situations and what's best for the planet. Do you have any recommendations for either opposing the factory or doing some practice that would help prevent harm around the monastery and to the environment? Sorry.
No, I was. So your question was that there's some friends nearby who live at a Zen monastery, and there's a factory being built nearby, which on the surface looks like a good thing with biofuels, but they're really concerned about it because the people building it have a history of not behaving very well, and they're trying to do some funny things and get around regulations, and they're very concerned it might actually harm the environment.
They're trying to build a giant rail yard too
near the monastery. So trying to build a rail yard. And so the question was, because of Kanjala's reputation, does she have any advice on what to do to oppose the harm to the environment, or maybe what would be best to see that in the future? Marangi Chuasanani Digi yeyuna morangi ropa kashidu ni nihongi chu zen sayadira kuzugi gomba chiktus ani digi yeyuna factory supta chimba chik zogidus ani supta didi thongna des yabogirik inian jabla zogi soke dakpo denso des yiche ra chesa maimba drabo chason ngama tes duksha cheson chikshina koyukla ne sigres because ya trim dantes gewa gileka ches chigres chesa ani kozugi chusonana di gombanala ani kozudi magawa ra di yong de mepa drabo chason ani morangi chiwasana ani ra di jawara mshed ani mongbo songs o kanjala des maombala des zikchogres ani ra koryuk chobyagi chidu samsam lacha chechogres ani kare yagadus zikchogres sungson chesam morangi chiwasana di digi netsula ra lam yakshu drabo kanjesti koryuk manyam kitap kisi yana soranangsa
Oh, really? 그래서 다 코육 지당이다 저타 다만다지 코육 박소 지여바데 단 잠리 용다레스 누구여바
testing di koryukti ani tes
저타 다만다기 토와당 난가 쪽바체네 아니 코육라 누구여바디 저 잠리 하고 그러와스
so yeah, when it comes to the environment, generally, we all know that factories can harm the environment. We know that they can give off harmful chemicals into the air. They can pollute the air. They can pollute the environment. So that's well known. All the factories in the world do that. It's not just one.
다 미창마지 잠블링데 숭줍 수수 대사기 강바디 숭줍 제거돼 패키지 버려놔 맞아 잠블링데 맞아 셈제지 강바 수수이 낭데 오늘 잠블링데레 디 칼레여비 셈제 참말로 맞아 파마지 바지 부나 진지 레니 파츠 뜨레 파츠 뜸바레 파츠 아니 지 가리나 녀크레 참말로 아니 코 제바여레 아니 야고 직참만 제바여레 참마기 토네 야제 땅야 라야 돼 대와 야제 땅야 짜치 보줘야 기치 물어와
so each of us wants to protect the environment around our own homes, all of us, and that's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to protect the environment around our home where we live, and all of us living on this earth also, it's like we share one home. The earth is a single home for all of us. All beings, living beings on this earth, it's as if we are children from two parents. It's like we're all children in the same family. So, and everything depends on other things. This depends on that, that depends on this. The good depends on good conditions. The bad depends on bad conditions. Everything is connected. And so it's very important to do what we can to improve happiness in a general sense.
당가서 최신이지 나네 냠래잖아 사실 가르질라 냠래 제바이나 아니 지금 미리라 야메바 줄루라 야메바 나 참말라 제비 경어야디 기침을 아니 냠래조 디수수 당지 메바 제당당 랑 진지 메바 집이 토네 아니 자와지 쯤바이나 아니 디 자침보 차그래 저미지 맞아 예나 따비 미겨르데 랑나 따비 미 메바 인자 아니 디 따지 수수 가져로다 추바지기 니주잉아니 다 당진당 랑 진지라 너나 아니 낭바 야고 차르래 랑 진지다 당진라 마네나 아니 낭바 차세야 때서 가고래 가리 곰잡 가리 냠내지 가리 집아이나 대 Dini chö chago mare chö la na jurbe tön ro chö tang ya chö de tang jin 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 ni de me wa zo di je rang je sam mo dong ji ge ro di me wa zo ane dame do bi shira pyu de chung wa ni je pyu de chung wa zai wa pyu de chung wa nim ba pyu de chung wa di ane ya convert de ton ni di che go ro di chö se go ro ma zo di sim ji gu la go chim bo cha de ro wa za chim bo
Mashallah.
낭비 취에 백 고양 보라. 무슨 또 취는 말해.
Mashallah. Mashallah. So, if we want to kind of connect this issue to practice, to Dharma practice, then our practice should be to become unbiased towards any ethnicity, any different type of people, also towards any religious tradition,
진짜.
and to protect from violence, to protect beings from violence. And so, removing self-grasping, removing self-cherishing is a very precious thing. And so basically, what we're cultivating in practice is the eyes that are oriented towards others, not the eyes that are oriented towards ourselves. So if our practice has an effect on our self-grasping and our self-cherishing, then we're really doing Buddhist practice. If our practice doesn't touch our self-cherishing and our self-grasping, then it's really not Buddha Dharma. It's not the teachings of the Buddha. Because the word Dharma has a sense of changing or transforming. Something should transform. And so what should transform? Self-grasping, self-cherishing. And so if our own, clinging towards ourself goes down, then our appreciation and treasuring of others can increase, and our power and our capacity can increase. All of these should increase. If that happens, that's like Dharma. And that is something that all beings need. It's important for all beings. So in brief, Buddhism is very open. There's nothing closed or tight or restricted about it.
다 비추 메나 강다 심뒤야 심장부디 다 삼블링 출룩레도 심장부티도.
And if we're not Buddhist or not interested in Buddhism, that's fine too. We make our mind good. We make goodness in our mind.
That's all.
Hi. I wanted to ask, do you know any living beings who have attained complete wisdom realization or Buddhahood, including yourself? And also, do you consider it realistic that a Westerner might attain Buddhahood in this lifetime?
Oh, that's your lip song. So I think your question was, do you know of any beings who've achieved complete
Living beings
currently living, who've achieved Buddhahood or enlightenment, and could a Westerner achieve such a thing?
Is it realistic?
Is it possible?
A Westerner living today to attain?
Is it possible?
You could say that. Yeah.
Kungitriwasana, ani cherangi nangwa nangla ani dagaran shuyagi ra kibu chik sanje ngane jangchup sanje ki kopang topken tandarang shudu cherangi nandra ani lama cheki nandra ra ngane tanda shuyagi dengdu ra depa maimba tandarang sanje chik shudu ani di chua dangbore ni nipadi ani chigewa ngazora di top sigareves
Oh. 라서 지난게 애니 가지고로 나서 상말로 찍어레스 나 산지 말레스 나빼에다 나서 찍자레스 미 아니 나서 산지 공부하는 거지 톱투그레스 태좀메스 톱주 여와 태좀메 톱투이바 태좀메스 나서 당이 라이바 랑kin진다 당진데 메바 저송아이나 따와 친지 말로 왔다 쬐바 친지 말로 왔다 제송아이나 나도 참말로 와 샘제 참마 산지 공부 토바해 봐 짜짜 자네 태좀 추는면서 아니 나도 참마 더 그랬어 그래서 가서 따와 친지로 해야 돼 쩐통 쬐바 친지로 해야 돼 쩐통 잔죽이 샘라 로장 따와 양다들 로장 칼레 지나 가서 참마 산지 그래 상제라나 아니 실로 들어대서요 말에 배때 난게 가서 샘 참디 샘 트래쉬 탄독디 가서디 딘제네 딩문도 줄소나 아니 가서 풀바대서 참만 매마 차르러 아니 가서 탄독데 난가 야 다와나 잉고 딩딩지 여나 빼라지나 빼르다 빼 난가 난가 야 다오다지나 아니 가서 다다 동에다 강에다 약뚝다 장에 라야지 timba charpa do this dinner chik doa di paru de di do res ko kala jimba si chapa se din che drawa che san ko time ma se nanga tin nangba imba chi kha khona teni timba dang chapa sama nange ngol pha tim do ro ani sangware 동에 상마 sangware ani semje thamje la chewa chembo jeware ani to number good sulaina 가와라이나 이지 코나 제니 자치모 용거로 근데 아주 정말 용거래 자세자 태섬 추는 매워 아니 미치디라 아주 슉겨고래 또그 된다 지고 많이 봐 덴디게 자치모 좀 줘요 네 맞으면체 땐 또그 된다 아주 시송나 뺏어서 나 내가 자 보고다 낭미다 딜리 된다 다사 또 된다 쟤네 디 된다랑 가서 신에 백 판보러 안다 잔죽이 쌤 똥번이 된다 삼다나 남밀라 약슈 딘핑이래 자 약슈 됐다 저너리 약슈 전주 쌤래도 저너리 약슈 똥번이데 전주 쌤데 닝 제슈 저너리 약슈 할레베 자지 못다 디 코가 맞이 와이나 당 가서 뺏사래 뺏 독자래 당다 마치 나 독자가 냈어. 대체나 빼야 버려. 올라서.
Salam. Yeah. Well, first she said, we are the same. I'm not a Buddha. We are the same. We're all human beings, right? Definitely, enlightenment, Buddhahood is possible for anyone, no doubt. Any sentient being can fully awaken to Buddhahood. When we talk about, Buddhahood or the level of awakening or Buddhahood, it's not like going somewhere else. It's not like flying away somewhere. It's something that's already inside the mind, becoming fully actualized, fully manifest. When that happens, confusion is completely over, completely finished. So it's a little bit like So it's definitely possible, 100% possible. As I've been discussing, if we can develop an authentic view and an authentic conduct, which reduces our self-cherishing, which reduces our self-grasping. And, all sentient beings can do that. If any being generates an authentic view and an authentic conduct, then there's no doubt that they can attain full awakening. So we have to see that inauthentic, incorrect view and understanding is like a fault, is a flaw. And we have to see that incorrect behavior, incorrect action is also like a flaw. So seeing that, we can train our mind slowly and slowly train it. So as an example, it's like the sky. The sky is open and vast, and there's all kinds of clouds and stuff happening also. So our clinging and our attachment is like muddled clouds. But we need to recognize the nature of the sky, the nature of space. And when we see the sky or the space for what it is, then everything in space, all the clouds, anything dissolves into the essence of space. So that's the Tibetan word for Buddha, Sangye. The first part is Sang, means like to purify. So that's the Sang element, the purifying element. And then there's also the element of love and cherishing others. Any other being in any situation, wanting to bring them peace and happiness, wanting to bring them joy. So that also will come for all of us if we train our mind. I have no doubt in that whatsoever. And so in this life, we have to put some effort forth for this. If we don't, if we just get caught up in our personal needs, what we're going to eat, what we want to wear, what we need in our homes and stuff, and don't put effort into this amazing thing, which can be had, then it would be kind of a shame. So, if we don't try and put some effort into developing what can be got, that all of us could move towards and could get, and we just take no interest in it, and then our life ends, that would be quite sad. So actually, we have to work with the mind inside of us. And the best wealth that exists is bodhicitta. That's the true wealth, is bodhicitta. Compassion and bodhicitta. It's like the greatest treasure, the greatest wealth that we could have. So it'd be a shame not to take the opportunity that we all naturally have to take that opportunity would be a shame. I'm sorry, to not take that opportunity would be a shame, given that bodhicitta is the greatest wealth.
대화 톱당으로 어디다 가르치 탑 가르치고 그래서 동해 무엇이 그러 동해 임바 무엇이 동해 주 대화 임바 무엇이 대위 주다 대화 대동이시 준제 무엇이네 동해 만드나 아니 뉴르 땅야 아니 대화 주 무엇이네 대화 공부했다나 아니 상지당으로 어디 다 동해 뭐 마시는 방식 말아 무엇이네 대화다 동해데 그래 준지 니수가니 남자 직당 체드 가니 남자 직이 니수가니 저기도 안디 상황으로 라마 냠뇽지 천대지 아니 가져로다 땜바 체마 땡추 체마 냠뇽 체마라 아니 때네 아니 저와이나 아니 자치무시요 여러
Naso. Nasula. So we have to come to understand, how to get happiness, how happiness comes. And in order to get happiness, we have to recognize what suffering is. Suffering should be understood. Suffering should be recognized. We have to know that happiness, we have to know happiness as happiness and how it arises, its cause, and we have to know suffering as suffering and how it arises, its cause. So we understand the causality, the cause and effect of happiness and suffering. If we understand that and then work to build happiness based on the causes of happiness, then it can really keep increasing. If we don't know that, then it's very difficult. If we don't know how happiness and suffering really come, we don't understand the causality of it, it's difficult. So we need to understand how karma works, how causality works. That's one thing. And we also have to rely on teachers, good teachers, teachers with experience, authentic teachers. It is said we need like a valid teacher, an authentic teacher. We need authentic texts or teachings, and we need authentic experience. We should rely on those authentic teachers, authentic teachings or texts, and authentic experience. And if we rely on those, that's very precious. It's very important.
Thank you.
Last question.
Thank you so much for your advice and teaching. Which are talking about.
Yes, let me see. Ning la tup songs.
So I have been contemplating a lot lately about the words Bodhisattva and what that really means.
Can you hold it closer, please?
So I have been thinking lately about Bodhisattva and what the word really means. So I began to contemplate about the meanings of it. So Bodhi means beyond, and Chitta means mind. So I'm trying to understand how can I go beyond the mind, just going beyond the unsurpassable, if you will. And in my practice, I somehow come to an understanding, or at least I want to ask Tergar, is it safe to assume that bodhicitta means you go beyond the mind, which is basically not grasping to any mind, or in a way that perhaps you go with no mind. Am I on the right path in my practice?
I'll try. I think your question was that you've been recently contemplating what the meaning of bodhicitta is. And from your studies, you've come to think that bodhi means beyond and chitta means mind. And so your question is then how to go beyond the mind. And you're wondering if your practice, is it to go beyond the mind or is it no mind?
Well, I was thinking that go beyond the mind means that you're not grasping to any mind.
Not grasping to any
Or to
mind.
go beyond that, there is no mind.
Oh, okay.
Am I on the right path in my practice?
Okay, so you're wondering if going beyond the mind means not grasping to any mind or no mind. And you're asking, is that the right path in your practice?
Correct.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I have to repeat the questions for the online people. Kongi Truasana, Dengsan Kongi Lopchonsana, Jangjup ki Sems Sayadi, 카레레스 쳔게도 아니 뎁 카셰잉라 장춥 사야디 아니 데바 라 치클레 데바 기튼다 용시게레스 아니 치타 세나 셈스 제사 셈레 데바 드라보 kongi gotsul ra akotsul ani kongi triasana ani dila samatana chikchana semle depa sayadi yamena sem mazimba yamena pet sem maimba sem mepa drabo denzog nigi cho kareres ani chita nge lam nge goyadi digienas ma digienas
las 장축 라야디 지단게 라미카다 디비카 니게 칼라 자나 자초 지레
나서
라미카라나 장 라나 아니 베 뇨몬트죠 정말 장거야 아니 가졸라 녀크다 제니 동해 제니기 초로바기 저 참말로 내봐 존장 축라나 아니 셈장보 장보 아니 셈제 탐제라 아니 게케토니 쳔발라나 메바 님발라나 메바 제발라나 메바 덴디지 추비오니 춥세나 덴디지 타뚝 디부 칼레우나 아니 뇨모 짠니 메바이나 장축 드리 장축 셈 라디 아니 양 라미칼라 자나 지라
So this term, bodhicitta, so the first part of that, bodhi, in Tibetan is called jangchup, which could be translated as awakening or enlightenment, or also more literally like purified and expanded. And so Kanjala said, the word bodhi or jangchup can be understood from the perspective of the path, or at the time of the path, and also at the time of the result. And so speaking about the time of the path, when we're on the path, then the element of chang, of purifying, means that these afflictive emotions, the kleshas that we have, need to be kind of cleaned or purified. All the problems we have, the sufferings we have, are purified or cleaned at the time of the path. And then the chup side, which means to expand, it means that, the benevolent mind, the honesty of the mind, the wish to take responsibility for others, those kinds of things, superior wisdom, superior power and capacity, superior love, all those aspects are expanded. So that's speaking at the time of the path. And then coming to the meaning of bodhi or jangchup at the time of the result or the fruition, that is then a situation where there's no more afflictive emotions or kleshas at all. And we can, she said, any tamadi, any semdaya jagores, tamala, any jangchup, tendriyana, any semya jagores, sunyana.
That chang, lana lamingala. Chanjuk seba lana lamingala chana dira. Changchup lana dira sanji jukuma. So diri.
So then, the concept of enlightenment or bodhi also then, refers to the end of the path. Either like can refer to like the mind of a bodhisattva has, or the state of Buddhahood at the end of the path.
Di hakodena en pesha zitana ya hoiro. Ani pesha ta nyamlin che to sam kom disum den so yapo chena ani mila shia da rang depthina ya hoiro. Che ko wa chamalo depthi pa tangjana ni subtrate na ji pindo shira ma ro. Ni cha di chỉ cha rồi thì ông mới đi bé mèo là như gì tiếp rồi là gì nữa pin mình đó mà tôi test chỉ chưa rồi thì she thuê bà chị đồng bộ khari changu도 아니 가르치고도 semba 장루 땅 동네도 좀 매버 땅 근데 지와 있나 아니 퇴삼 아니 삼중 고아 아니 검중 고아 아니 저지 아니 타마 쩌밀령도 아니 전주 셈제 아니 자침보 아니 뎁지니 밀 제와 있나 자침보로 아니 수수기 냠내 지나 자침보로 한선은 페인토서 예수수 냠내 주는 마치베지 디니가 수련 디니가 팔레 디지 꼬마저르시 땐디가 팔잡 로잖아 신나 소즈리시 좋아 민주 디리시 신도 까보 어디 맞이야 자
Nasana. Nasana. So I think relying on good books is important also, studying good books, and then practicing. We have to go through, listening and study, and then our own contemplation and reflection, and then meditation. We need study, reflection, and meditation. Apart from that, if it's the kind of book where people have just sort of put a bunch of things together, doesn't really come from their own experience, it's more like a map. They've just drawn a map. So, if we just sit there, we don't really understand anything and just say the Omani Peme Hung, it's not so much benefit. We need to know things to practice Dharma. We need to know what to do. What is suffering? How to work with what reduces suffering. There's things to understand. And then through, what we hear, it's not just what we hear from others. There's a wisdom that comes from study. We also need the wisdom that comes from our own contemplation or reflection. We also need the wisdom that comes from our practice, from our meditation. So developing those. Then at first, we have this like effortful type of bodhicitta. And then after some time, there can be an effortless kind of bodhicitta. So also, books, it's like if somebody just, doesn't have their own experience, but takes things from other places, a little bit here, a little bit there, something they heard, and they put it all together, and, sort of stealing a bit of knowledge from here and there, putting it onto together, and then publishing many books. Not that, that's kind of a scary thing.
저지체 되니 참말로 까진체 아니 가서 드링 다 전주쌤이 거라 아니 드링 해야지 아니 그거 나와 신도 까진체
So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
잠블링데 당가서 몽주 무게라 소바 마용와 아니 미창마 체림보 짜시 튼도야지 치동가서 와말람 야보자고.
So want to thank everyone. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for coming here. This opportunity to discuss bodhicitta, this altruistic mind, this altruistic heart. It's a wonderful thing. I really rejoice in everyone coming and wanting to discuss the topic of bodhicitta, the enlightened heart. So thank you so much. So now, let's say dedication and aspiration prayers for the world, to reduce conflict and warfare, to reduce hunger, to reduce, illness and disease.
Please turn in your booklet to page 11. And we'll do the first 4 lines of the dedication prayer. We'll do it once in Tibetan, once in English.
tamche se pai tone pe jin pa non chu bai si pe so le ro wa chu wa shu.
By this measure, we all attain our missions and defeat the enemy from wrongdoing, from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of existence, may all beings be free. And then we're going to do the aspiration for the world, which is on page 13. And we're going to do this only in English. Namo
Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, with all your wisdom, knowledge, and love, please take care of me and all other beings, and dispel the many troubles of our times. May the Buddha masters who sustain the teachings of the foundational great and Vajrayanas, and all my gurus with their great kindness, live long and their enlightened activities flourish. May those who protect our world from misfortune, who promote education and prosperity, and who care for our environment, be healthy and achieve their aims. May peace and joy spread throughout the world.
May conflicts and
Epidemics cease. May global warming come to an end. May religious and political harmony increase. Ultimately, may all beings throughout space manifest their essence of innate, timeless purity, and their wisdom, knowledge, and love. May we all awaken together.
나서 같은제 되니 나서 들이 잡제 민주를 무친 최소나라 아니 개베소남 아니 자신부 사야 중소 아니 제 넘버서 차례리니 고직제니 아 상말로 같은 데네 투지체 양자주기.
So, want to say thank you again. Here we are, kind of in this Sangha space that is held by Mingyur Rinpoche's Sangha. And so we've made a lot of merit today discussing these things. And so I want to thank everyone who helped organize this, helped arrange things, everyone who's helped to make this possible. Thank you so much.
라메 코스데한당 심진 디지용 체들라 안 찬주 심조 림보제 마제 바나 제주 제와 냠바 메바양 코네 콘도 페바레쇼.
May the precious bodhicitta arise where it has not arisen, and where it has arisen, may it not decrease, but increase further and further.
Toni dawa rimboje maje bana jeje jewa nyamba meba yang kone kondo pebaresho temba jiden kamsum chemba dan temba ni shinda seba tenje punu shinda temba yuri nebe trashi sho lune nangdong yeme laye Mane jatong gangme sangme yine de dong jurme dorje lekshare tunye lunru trashi sho. Okay. Thank you.